Welcome to Monday's Mental Mistakes. This week we're looking at the curse of knowledge. Here's a simple example. This is Vicky. She finishes playing her violin and puts it in the blue container. Then she goes outside to play. While Vicky is outside playing, her sister, Denise, moves the violin to the red container. Then Denise rearranges the containers in the room until the room looks like this. This all occurs without Vicky's knowledge. Vicky left her violin in the blue container, but it is now in the red one. When Vicky returns, she wants to play her violin. As a percentage, what are the chances that Vicky will first look for her violin in the red container? If you think the chances are more than about 25%, congratulations, you suffer from the curse of knowledge, like the rest of us. Research has found that people tend to estimate about a 35% chance of Vicky first looking in the red container when they know that that's where the violin is. In contrast, when people are only told that the violin has been moved, but not which container it is in, people tend to estimate about a 25% chance of Vicky first looking in the red container. Despite Vicky's knowledge being the same in both scenarios, people tend to think it more likely she will look in the correct place when they know what it is. That is, when we know something that she doesn't, we can't help but be influenced by that knowledge. This is the curse of knowledge. The curse of knowledge is the tendency to be swayed by information we have, even when we try not to be. That is, once we have knowledge, it is very difficult to remember what it was like to not have it. The curse of knowledge makes us more likely to assume that less informed others will still act and behave like we do. At the same time, we are unlikely to fully grasp the point of view of someone less informed than us. The principal way to counter the curse of knowledge is to systematically discount the accuracy of our assessments of less well-informed people. Research has shown that the effects of the curse of knowledge can be halved when people are given a financial incentive to do so. That is, when people are paid based on the accuracy of their predictions about less informed people, they tend to be about twice as accurate. However, roughly half of the bias remains, even in this scenario. So no matter how deliberately we attempt to correct for it, we should still expect to be inaccurate. The curse of knowledge is one of the reasons that professions such as teaching and coaching exist. Because we struggle to appreciate less informed points of view, simply having knowledge doesn't necessarily translate into an ability to teach that knowledge. There is a long-held view that those who are less naturally talented in an area often make better coaches or teachers. While there is little research into this, the idea is that people who have a natural talent did not struggle to learn a particular skill or piece of knowledge, and as a result find it harder to teach others. For example, people to whom the theory of evolution seemed intuitive and easily grasped may have difficulty teaching it, as many students find it unintuitive. A teacher who themselves have not had to grapple with the ideas and find ways to make it understandable may struggle to help their students do exactly that. The curse of knowledge has been studied in an economic setting, specifically in sales. The findings were that more knowledgeable salespeople are sometimes worse than less knowledgeable ones. The reason is that if you know the flaws and limitations of your product, you find it harder to not take this into account when selling to customers who don't also know this. And so you inadvertently and unnecessarily discount your products for these flaws. Less well-informed salespeople won't do this, and hence can be more effective. While not specifically studied, it's likely that a similar effect happens in settings like job interviews. People who are well aware of their own limitations may in fact undersell themselves compared to less self-aware candidates. Perhaps the most common experience of the curse of knowledge is when trying to communicate complex ideas. When we are relative experts in a conversation, it's often difficult to explain concepts in a way that is clear to the other person, as we find it difficult to understand what it is like not to know them. For example, part of the reason that scientists struggle to communicate effectively with lay people is that they tend to use technical language and explain things in terms of other concepts that are themselves too technical. So a climate scientist might say something like, there are positive trends in global temperatures, and that sunspot activity had a small but significant effect, which might sound to a layperson like things are improving and that sunspots were a big part of it. Unfortunately, this is not what is meant. In conclusion, the curse of knowledge is the tendency to be swayed by information we have, even when we try not to be. Until next week, may your mental mistakes be minor.